International Monetary Fund annual spring meeting in Washington is looking at the state of the African region under the theme Skills for Success in a Transforming Africa. The discussion is looking at the main trends shaping economic development on the continent. And now we cross live there for that discussion.
Having the same knowledge of basic curriculums that we had. We look at recently in 2014, and we notice that in grade 6 in West Africa, more than half of the children were 6th grade didn't have the right skills to pursue their studies. It was not the case in the past. So what can we do about it? And I think that's the discussion of today. But also, when these kids are learning something and they are able to get the information and get the knowledge that they need to know, do they have the right skill to be able to translate it in the workplace? And we have all the discussion about the socio-economic determinant of knowledge, how is the society, how the skills which are not the skills, the hard skills that you learn at school are important to be able to translate it in the workplace and translate it in the labor market. And when we talk about socio-economic skill, it's not something which is theoretical. It's about our culture. It's about our culture. It's about our national languages. It's about the way we're evolving in the society. The socio-economic skills that we need to move in Kenya, in Ghana, or to be adapted in the economic reality of South Africa are different than the one you will need to be able to evolve in different type of countries. So it begs the question of what about our national languages when we talk about skill, education, and quality of education in our continent. We have a lot of our brothers and sisters, we didn't have an opportunity to go to school. Either they were dropped out or they just didn't have that opportunity. And we know that we need to do something about it. And you cannot necessarily want to teach them those skills in a language that they haven't learned since they were children. So we are opening a debate, which is a complex debate about how we can use our national languages to bring people, particularly in the early stage, to have the basic skill of literacy. That's one of the important questions. The second one is how we can ensure that the skills and the models that we had in terms of acquiring technical skills are the right one. We have a traditional model where a Ministry of Labor, a Ministry of Technology is there and delivering a curriculum. And we see that in reality is not as adapted as we want to the reality of what the companies and the private sector want to do. Are we ready to radically revisit that model, do things differently, put at the center of what we want to do, the private sector, and ensure that that's the one we are defining the demand and defining the way things will be happening, we are ready to do that. The third element is that education, what we learn, is not looking at primary education separately from secondary education, separately from higher education. In the past, you will see people coming from African university and be admitted and accepted is a top university in the world because our undergraduate program was so strong, the quality was such that it was competing with the rest of the world. Today, we know that it's a problem. So we have quality. So what we learned is that we couldn't talk about quality of primary education, vocational training, STEMs in our countries without looking at the entirety of the education system and ensure that we are at every step. And I think that today in the panel we have people being in academia, we have people from the private sector, we have ministers who are dealing with those issues and will be able to give us some insight. But the most important word is that we need to have our revolution in that area. Things cannot be as they used to be. We need to make a revolution which is a revolution of mind, a revolution which allows to build a new social contract in terms of knowledge sharing, of education, and empowering people to transform our economies. If we don't do that today, we will not be able to prepare our children and our country for the next generation of issues, to be ready to face to robotics, be ready to be integrated in the world economy, to take advantage of e-commerce, to leapfrog, and as we said many times, if we don't do that and if we don't invest today and make those choices, we will not be able to do that. It will require politics, and politics. Because at the end of the day, this is a political choice that country have to make. It's not a technical choice. There are some technical components that our specialists are providing us. But at the end of the day, the efficiency of service delivery, the absenteeism, the way we are articulating things is a matter of leadership, a matter of will. And I think that we have already good example on the continent. We can inspire us, and we would like to do that. I will conclude by saying, before Lerato come back on stage, to say that one of the actions that we would like to do is to start having a center of excellence on education policy in Africa. Today, I speak with a lot of colleagues and a lot of ministers, and they ask me, I would like to know about this experience in this country. And you realize that there is nowhere where Minister of Education can tap as information to be able to say, oh, I want to learn what's happening in Burkina, I want to learn what is happening in Rwanda, I want to learn what is happening in Kenya to see if I can apply it in my set of country. So this is something that we would like to do to ensure. Secondly, we will be pushing very much to give the resources to Ministry of Education to be able to have policy units so that they can themselves think about the trade-off, think about the policies, think about the future, and be able to contribute very actively to our discussion. So I will stop here, Rato, but I would just want to welcome everybody. I don't know, it's our number 6, 7, 8 state of the region, and I'm very glad to see that every year we have more participants, and I'm very glad to have this collaboration now, which allows us to reach an audience that we don't reach usually. And we will be just starting the debate today. We hope in the course of the year to receive much more information about what you think on education in Africa and skill. Thank you very much and welcome.
Well, that there was Makta Diop, the Vice President of the World Bank's Africa Division, speaking live in Washington at the World Bank and IMF annual spring meeting that's currently going on there. And that discussion there was around skills for success in transforming Africa. Well, there will be more panelists speaking exactly on that subject, and we hope to take you back to Washington, but that's when we return after this short break.